Sinead, thank you so much for giving us
Thank you.
a few minutes of your time, and you really have been the needle that has thread this whole thing together. So I want to make sure that we really kind of understand your trials and tribulations on a day-to-day basis, right? Almost get do the psychiatrist bit a little bit, because you know, in the panel with the other women, we talked about specific issues. In the panel with your UX and HR colleagues, we spoke about how that interaction happens. What about your day-to-day? You know, when you come in the morning, what's the first thing that you do? When you go home, what keeps you up at night? Those types of things.
So first thing in the morning, I have my daily scrum with the project that I'm working at the moment that I'm scrum leader. We do it first thing in the morning, 15 minutes. And that really sets at least 50% of my work for the day. So what comes out of that is, where do they need help? What intervention do they need? Where do I need to go next? That's my priority list. That gets done first. Then there's the, like I talked about, setting up this brand new team from July, which massively expands the footprint. And I have people in Manila, and I'm going to have people in Costa Rica, which is awesome. It's then thinking about, how do I structure them in the right way? And how do I get them up and running quickly? So from a technology perspective, I'm not concerned, or I'm not worried. These guys really know their stuff. And it's a big mix in that group, from my age group all the way down to early 20s. So I'm not concerned that they won't understand how to do the development part of their job. It's, how do I create the right environment? How do I create capability? How do I create that interaction? Because one of the big things that I think, if you're not in it, you might not see, is to really drive the smartest part of this automation and the technology in the best way. It's creativity. So I don't think people necessarily think about, you know, if they think of old coding terms like ones and zeros, they don't think creativity. They don't think about, how do I leverage technology to really drive a change? And you've got to be creative, because it's not sitting going, right, I'll write this piece of code and that's going to change the world.
Right.
That ship's gone. Or at least in how I look at it, that's not how we work. It's really looking at, how do I look at a start and an end point? What can I do to make it better? So we'll take some of Ale's point on UX. So what really is the customer? That's where we start when we do some of these design workshops. Who really is going to see this, and who really is going to use it? What's the purpose? Forget what you do today. Forget pressing the button. Who sees it at the end? Is it you? Is it someone outside? And what do they really use it for? And I think a lot of people will understand, there will be pieces which are, oh, well, I do this because I've done it this way for years. But does the person you send this report to actually read it? Like, you have to extract the data. You got to manipulate it in Excel. Then you're going to export it to a PDF. Then you're going to have to manually email it to this person. But do they actually open the email, or just go, oh, Sinead sent me an email. She sends it monthly. I know it's a report.
Right.
Yeah, I'll file it.
And I appreciate the fact that she's working hard.
Yeah. So it's that creativity of thinking of, well, if I had it in a dashboard, or is the data correct? Is what I'm sending them, yes, they see a report and they know I'm doing my job, but could I send them something different? Could I send them somewhere else? Could I develop it in a different way?
Yeah.
That actually makes their life better, versus they receive it on a monthly basis and they file it.
How do you avoid weaving yourself into constant change which has no end? Meaning, okay, I'll ask John, you know, I send John Barraclough this report every month. I know that he wants it. You know, we do catch up about certain aspects of it. I haven't heard him ask this question on X. I'll ask him that. But then kind of diving in on every single, I send Richard from HR, I do that. Ale, we talk about this. How do you ensure creativity without chaos? Yeah.
So I think the first part is stepping outside, like, the individual pieces that run, and look at the full big picture. Like, what really is the process, or what really is the purpose of those 70 pieces of code or 70 pieces of reporting that I send every month? What's the end goal? What do I want people to do with that? what is really going to impact their job. So I may have a conversation with all of them, but then I'm going to sit down and go, right, here's what I'm going to deliver. This is the timing, and this is what it's going to look like. And then I look at my portfolio and I go, I really want to tackle the biggest pieces first. So I may look at that report I send to John every month, but I may look at it and go, okay, well, it's not broken. I could maybe put a bit of automation around it, but really, is it going to change the business insight? Is it going to change the user that's doing it? Mm-hmm. Does it take me more than 20 minutes a month? Maybe that's not the one I want to go after. I want to go after the one that impacts 40 users globally or 100 users globally, that I can take, 3 days out of their work process on a monthly basis, or 4 days, where they can, spend that time doing better insights or better analytics, or the report that they produce at the end genuinely drives a business change. So that's how I cut my line, which is I'll look at, but I'll always take that step back and go, okay, big picture. Mm-hmm. And here are the ones, it could be a nice little win because it's annoying for someone.
Right.
But if it's not going to really take time or really drive a business change, then it doesn't get on my list.
Got it. Okay. So focus on only the big pieces until there are no more big pieces.
And then maybe we look at it differently.
There we go. All right. It does sound like, as we've been speaking for the better part of this morning, that your job simply is change.
Yes.
Do you see it that way?
I see it that way. And that's what's exciting. So I think it's great, but could I live in this 100% and nothing else? Maybe not. So I've done multiple different roles now in P&G. Mm-hmm. This is a huge opportunity, like I said, where it's driving so fast and it's constant change. But I also think that you need someone heading that up that really is very, very comfortable with change and can live it. But it might be that person does it for 5 years and then they find something maybe different. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It all depends on personality. So right now, I'm loving it. I like not knowing where I'm going next. Do I think I can permanently live my life like this? Maybe.
Right.
But you know what? In the outside world, that's what we're all living in because everything is changing so fast. Yeah. And I think you've got to get at peace with yourself. Now, the speed of that and how constant it is, that's the bit that you can play up and down.
That's up to you type of thing. When we say that's up to you, your colleagues, we've been speaking to your colleagues throughout these conversations. And I wonder, what do you hear when you speak to folks, that are doing your same type of function outside of this organization? Mm-hmm. What do they not have right necessarily? What should they be doing more of? What should they be doing less of?
A couple of things. When I was at a conference a couple of weeks ago, I think that people are still trying to draw the boundaries too tight and really map out at a much more granular level than we do. And I think that impacts really the end result, or it impacts the creativity, or they go in with, okay, for this process, I'm going to use robotics. For this process, I'm going to only use a work orchestration tool. For this process, I'm only going to use this technology. Mm-hmm. I don't think you can predispose, or at least the ahas that we've had are really understand the process and where you want to get to, then think about the technology, or then think about the combination of technologies. Because I don't think one technology can fix all business processes. At least that's what we've learned. Yeah. So you've got to come at it with a different mindset.
Yep.
It's also that culture of we learn as much from our more junior people and those just out of university than we do from those that have been in the business for years. Mm-hmm. And you've got to be open-minded, because I hear a lot of people, well, it's good that we've get fresh blood in, and it's good that we, have them in, but they go and do this development work.
But,
over here. Yeah. We really drive like a completely, I would say, almost horizontal organization where we all sit together, all our desks are the same. We've got a big communal area where we talk all the time, and it's constantly, but why? Yeah. And I think you've got to change your mindset and get used and get comfortable with that, because that's not everyone's comfort zone. They'd be my big two.
I gotcha. And so those are great pieces of advice. If I'm listening to you and I say, well, sure, that sounds all well and good, but she's at P&G.
Yeah.
She's got, top level management that's bought into innovation. That's how they run that organization. They've been running it that way for decades. The resources that John Barraclough mentioned off the cuff are amazing. I don't have those resources. I don't have that buy-in. If you were to put on a different hat,
Okay.
how would you get that buy-in? Because the resources are just not going to be there. So how would you manage up to make sure that you would get that freedom to do those things that you just mentioned?
I think it really is painting the aspirational picture first. And all you need is one senior leader that gets it to be your advocate and your sponsor. So choose the person that you see when you look up that really gets a bigger picture and is not afraid of technology. And then paint the picture like we've been painting, which is, it's not about taking necessarily people out, but do you want to drive better quality in your data? Do you want to drive more insights? Do you really want to drive the business? Here's what we can take away to get your people to focus on something very, very different.
Yeah.
Size isn't everything. When we started this team, or the team I've been working in for the last 6 months, it's 2-year placements. And it's 3 experienced P&G people. And then we've added one. And then we've added one. And now it's about, but sometimes you've got to get running in a small place to prove the worth. And then the snowball starts to build and momentum starts to come behind it. So don't sit and wait for everything to be in situ.
Yeah.
Find someone that believes in you. Find a sponsor. Get them to give you a little bit of seed money or a little bit of wiggle room. Find 2 or 3 others that can get in the boat with you and do the work and just go.
Yeah.
And if it works, they'll find you the next person and they'll find you the next person, and then it really starts to grow. But don't wait.
Yeah.
Go with what you've got and find that one person that can open a few doors.
The one thing to not do is wait.
Yeah.
And even here at P&G, we started with a handful of folks. And that's that. Sinead, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I guess we'll keep checking in with you down the line.
That'd be awesome.